everyone, and welcome back to Non Sequitur Nerds. Tonight, we're going to need you to reboot the router again because we're going to be talking streaming games tonight. But as always, I'm Tim, joined by Ian. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, I'm doing pretty good. It's been actually a relatively short week
Yeah.
for me. I was off work on Monday. This past weekend, I went to a convention, one of the first that I've been to in probably 2.5 years.
Yep.
It was quite a lot of fun. Great to get back into the con scene. Next one will have to be a you and me type thing.
Yes. As I said, unfortunately, I was not able to attend due to a couple family obligations. But yeah, for sure, we're going to have to go to one together soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyway, so yes, as Tim said, we are doing streaming this week. Specifically, we're talking mostly talking about game streaming, but we may get into other topics as we are wont to do.
Yep.
Kind of one of the big news things that came out this week that was kind of the impetus of this conversation is that Microsoft has announced that they are going to be building and releasing a xCloud gaming app for smart TVs. Specifically, they're going to be targeting Samsung smart TVs
Yep.
first, which have their own kind of like mini app store type thing.
Yeah.
So, for those of you that don't know what xCloud gaming is, it's a service that's offered with the Microsoft Xbox Game Pass uh, subscription service that basically allows you to stream games from the cloud.
Yep.
So you don't actually
Anywhere.
have to download the game. You can just stream them. And it's available, I believe, on PC and Xbox right now as well. But soon we're going to be having it on TVs. Now,
So,
the
and you,
neat
you
part,
you can do it on mobile too. I have actually a couple
yeah,
now. I will say with a mobile connection, I haven't had a chance to test it on any 5G connections, but on 4G, make sure you have good steady signal. Otherwise, it will be cutting out left and right.
yeah, I've used the xCloud service before several times. I
Yep.
played Nier Automata on it for a bit. I've done Destroy All Humans, a few other games. You
Classic.
notice, um, I don't, I didn't notice really any input lag. Now there was some screen tearing a little bit, but I
Yep.
wouldn't say there was really any input lag at all. Like it
It
was
was
actually a very smooth experience for me.
yeah, same thing. I've played it here now that I have a internet connection that's not a hamster on a wheel. Um, I've tried it, and like, if you've got the connection for it, it works really well. Very similar experience to Ian. No noticeable input lag unless the game was just lagging in general. A little bit of screen tearing, but didn't distract me from playing it. And even with a fast internet connection, there is something about that instant gratification of hitting a button, waiting 10 seconds tops, and then being able to play it versus even with a gig connection, waiting half an hour, maybe if that, just to find out I didn't like the game or it's not for me or anything. I can just play it in 10 seconds, try it out, and see if I like it. And if I do, I'll keep playing it. I mean, there's some that I've streamed that I'm like, you know what, I'm going to download it just so it's even more instantaneous once it's on my hard drive. But it is, I could definitely see that being a big selling point for people that maybe don't have the fastest connections or don't want to wait, forever how long to download a 40 plus gig game these days.
Right.
With that cloud, you just click a
Or
button.
in the case of Red Dead Redemption 2, it's up to what, I think 120 gigs now
Yeah,
with
well, I mean
capacity.
that's beginning to be more and more common of games having the plus 100 gig install. I mean, like, well, heck, Fantasy Star Online, they're right around 100, if not a little over. Um,
Yeah.
so I mean, it's not uncommon for games to be over 100 gigs at this point. Which you go back even 10 years and 100 gigs. I mean, that's going to take you a while to download. That's going to be a huge chunk of your hard drive space right there. But I mean,
Yeah, you
today,
might as well like start that download in the morning, go to work, come back, hope that hope that your connection wasn't interrupted.
right?
Take a look at that very deceptive progress bar because it's a
Yep.
lying son of a bitch. Um,
3 minutes left, my ass.
right, yeah, that
I
was three
remember
minutes left
those
24 hours ago. Um,
exactly.
Yeah, so I mean, it's very difficult. It can be very difficult for folks, especially in like this day and age where physical, like a physical disc anymore is really just like the starting point. It's like it gets you access to it, and then you still have to download the rest of the game.
Yeah, the disc has the launcher on it, which downloads the rest of the game. It's like that's not even worth the disc it's printed on. But I mean, well, heck, anymore. When was the last time you saw a new PC or laptop with a physical optical disc drive?
I mean, I bought a new tower just this past year. It
Yep.
has like all it literally just USB ports on it.
Yeah.
I got my son a laptop, which ironically, Tim and I discovered that our sons have the same laptop.
Yes.
Um, so not they don't share a laptop, but they have the
So
same
the same model laptop. Yep. Well,
so I mean, our kids don't. I mean, they don't have disk drives. I mean, I have an Alienware laptop that's like I don't know, maybe 6 years old at this point. It
yep.
doesn't have a physical disk drive.
Well, yeah, I mean that's one thing that I was actually noticing. I recently built a new computer, as Ian knows. And like when I was looking at cases, figuring out what case I wanted to go with, not a single one that I found had any drive bays on the front of them. Like I have an external DVD writer just in case if I need to make a physical backup of something, or if I
Right.
have a file or whatever that is too big for whatever random flash drive I have laying around, and I just want to burn it onto a disk for for whatever. But like beyond that, and even that, I can't think of the last time I used the thing. Like it's sitting on my shelf right over there with a bunch of blank DVDs next to it. I can't even think of the last time I used it.
I
But
mean, I think nowadays, like um, media backups and stuff, like pretty much every computer, especially Windows based, is going to be like, hey, just hook up to OneDrive and back up your hard drive.
yep,
Because I mean, everybody's going to do it, and then Apple's got their iCloud stuff. You can use other third-party apps like Dropbox,
yep,
Box, or Google Drive or whatever to back
yep.
up all of your necessary files and stuff. So, um, but kind of circling back a little bit to something we were talking about earlier with like the physical discs and whatnot. I remember even 10 years ago, my brother bought, I think it was Age of Empires 4,
Hmm.
maybe it was 3, and
Right.
he bought like the physical box for the game. He got home, opened it, and it literally just had a piece of paper in it with a Steam key on it.
Yep.
And he was so mad because we lived out in the middle of BFE nowhere
Yep.
and our internet sucked, so it like took forever to download the stupid game.
Well, I mean, anymore, like the majority of boxed PC games anymore, that's what's in it. It's just a code giving you instructions or a paper giving you instructions and a code. There's no actual discs in there. Um,
Right.
like I mean, limited run games. I mean, they're good about taking games that are digital only and releasing them in a limited fashion on physical media, whether it's a Blu-ray disc, a DVD disc, a Switch cartridge, even some they did some Super Nintendo or N64, I don't remember what it was, repo carts of games, which I
Yeah.
mean is pretty cool. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean digital and streaming is especially for gaming because most gamers that own a PC or any of the new consoles or even any of the consoles that have been out in the last 10 years, the majority of them have internet. Now, I mean, the quality of that internet varies, in your own situation, but
Well, it
it's
also varies on
if
the hardware itself, because some of
yeah,
those older models were built with the 2.4 gigahertz cards, which
yep,
generally it's a more stable
yeah,
connection. But
it,
it doesn't it's a much slower
yeah,
connection.
yeah, it
So
is,
we're talking like sub 100 meg.
yeah.
Uh,
So I mean, you can have
but
the fastest internet out there, but if that's what you're running on, that's what you're going to be running on.
right. But the real thing that has me really excited about this whole xCloud on the TV thing, the TV app, is because they've said that all you need is an Xbox or a PlayStation controller.
Yeah.
Like it'll support both Xbox and DualSense controllers
Mhm.
because they're both Bluetooth enabled and you can
Yeah.
just connect them directly to the TV. So literally you don't need a console anymore to play these games because all of the hardware and processing and everything else that's being done is being done in Microsoft's cloud servers.
Yeah. The
It's all being
TV is
handled
literally just
in
displaying
their
the video and audio.
yeah, correct. So you're literally only bounded by a controller and a internet connection.
Yeah.
So what this is, and this is not the first time that somebody has tried to do cloud type gaming like this. Google had Stadia.
Yep.
However, their implementation of Stadia was lackluster and
Yeah.
really just a bad model, if I'm
Yeah.
being honest, in my opinion. Because the Stadia model was, oh, pay for the subscription service so you can use Stadia, and then you have to buy the game on top of it. Oh,
Yeah.
by the way, and if you ever leave Stadia, you don't get the game that you paid for.
Yeah. Which was, I think they ended up making some like changes to it, but by that point it was too little, too late. People had already passed on it. Um,
Yeah, I
but
mean,
it's good.
I mean, it came with controllers, and you had the little Google Meet or not Meet, whatever that thing is, the Chromecast.
Chromecast.
Sorry,
Yep.
yeah, and you had the little Chromecast with this, that you could install the Stadia app on, and you plugged it in the TV on like an HDMI port or something like that, and it worked for what it did. Like
Yeah.
for the games that you had on there, it wasn't bad. It's just
Yeah.
the model for it was just not good
Yeah.
because you had to. You were basically paying. You were paying to pay for a game,
You paid
so
for
it
a
was all
subscription to buy stuff.
correct,
I mean, isn't that what we all do with Amazon?
pretty much. But but if you take the cost of Amazon over 12 months, it's
Yeah.
much cheaper than that. But
Yeah.
yeah,
With the free shipping, I mean, Amazon, that's a good value. Stadia, not so much. But I mean, when Ian and I first started talking about them releasing it on TVs, and you don't even need an Xbox console, that immediately took me back to my GameStop days. Because as Ian brought up a very good point, that's just gonna like Microsoft subscription that makes them money. Consoles, despite what people will say about a console being $3, $4, $500, video game manufacturers typically either sell consoles either breaking even to the cost of parts and labor or actually at a loss because they don't want to raise the price on. They don't want to make the console a profit thing because that means the console will have to be more expensive, which means you'll be less likely to buy it, which means you'll be less likely to buy games, which have a bit of profit on them. Controllers, headsets, accessories, whatever peripherals you get, that's where the money is. And if you're buying, if you have a Samsung TV, you're like, all right, cool, I'm going to pay for Game Pass. You paid that subscription, boom, Microsoft's made profit. You need to buy a controller for it, boom, Microsoft, Sony, whatever company of whatever brand of controller you use, boom, they've made profit right there. They now
right.
don't have to worry about the cost of parts and labor on one Xbox. You multiply that by several thousand or 100,000 or however many people have a Samsung TV that's capable, that adds up to just more profit for them. By you not buying a system, you're actually saving them money. As weird as that sounds from an economic standpoint, by not buying their product and buying another one of their other products, you're actually saving them money and giving them more money. It's
Yeah,
it's it's weird. It's weird, but I mean, like GameStop when I was there for an eternity. Um, that was one thing that's why GameStop pushes used consoles so much. When I think it was on average for the Xbox One when that first launched, GameStop made after like everything was considered like $5 on a brand new one. That's why GameStop pushed the used one because they didn't have to pay Microsoft for it. It had already been bought. Yes, they paid somebody a pittance, admittedly, for the console. But when they turn around and sell it for $30 less than a brand new one, somebody's going to snag it up for $30. GameStop's made a crap load of profit. That's why they push the used stuff so much. There's no money in new consoles, despite them being $300 to $500. So
right.
that's my soapbox. Sorry.
Oh, you're fine. Beyond this, though, where it really kind of opens things up and makes things very interesting to me is that as we continue down this path, um, there is potential for Microsoft to try to publish an xCloud gaming app for the PlayStation.
In
And Phil
theory,
Spencer,
yes.
Phil Spencer, the CEO of Xbox, has said for many years he would love to be able to get um, into PlayStation's ecosystem.
Right.
So. Um,
I mean, really, like again,
it
I'm
does
not sitting at the board at Sony. But easy way for Sony to recuperate that cost is make it part of their subscription to access the Xbox app. You have to have a PlayStation subscription. Maybe raise the price $5. But if you have that tier for $5, maybe even $10 more that gives you access to the Xbox app, Microsoft's still getting their money. Sony's getting some more money at that point. and gamers only have to worry about having one box, and they don't have to worry about, well, do I want a PlayStation? Do I want an Xbox? What games do I want? Boom, you've got them all right there. Which brings us
Yeah,
to our next point. Later this month, Sony is also launching their revamped PlayStation Plus, which has a heavy focus on what is it? What's the topic tonight, Ian? Streaming? Streaming.
streaming.
Now,
Yeah.
admittedly, Sony has tried streaming with their PlayStation Now service, which between the two of us, we've said this multiple times. I'm more of a Sony guy, but I will be the first to admit that PlayStation Now was poorly implemented, did not have the best selection on it. Their new service has promise. I don't want to say it's going to be a game changer, given their track record of streaming, but it has promise. It's going to have various tiers to it. I've actually got it pulled up here. There's the Essential tier, which is effectively what they already have now with PlayStation Plus: online access, a selection of free games every month, cloud storage, and a few other odds and ends things. From there, they go up to what's called the Extra tier, which is all of that plus a PS4 and PS5 game catalog, which on the PS5 it is backwards compatible. Makes sense. These are going to be digital downloads. Then there are two tiers, well, one and a half tiers in reference to streaming. The first tier, which is called Deluxe, is for markets that don't have, for whatever reason, any cloud-based access. Whether that's because the infrastructure in that region isn't the greatest, whether that's because licensing rights or network access rights or whatever have you. If you don't have access to cloud streaming, this is the tier for you. Everything of the prior ones, plus a catalog of PS1, PS2, PS3 remasters. There's a distinction there, and PSP classic games, as well as they call them limited time game trials on blockbuster air quote titles, which are typically, from what we've kind of gathered and what they've said, are new big AAA titles, mostly direct from Sony Studios. You get to try the actual game unrestricted for a certain amount of time, and if you like it and choose to buy it, your save will just transfer over and you can just continue on after purchasing it.
Right.
Then the final tier, like the big daddy of them all, is called the premium tier, and this is for markets that have streaming. Yeah, no, ooh, confetti. Has everything of the prior tiers, plus original PS3 games, not remasters, originals, via cloud streaming, so we are getting PS3 air quote backwards compatibility. But then you also get cloud streaming for PS1, PS2, PS4, and PSP. So literally everything except the Vita, which I'm admittedly I am a PlayStation Vita fan. Pardon my fingerprint marked screen there. I am a PlayStation Vita fan. I am kind of sad that it seems like Sony is treating it the way Nintendo treats the Virtual Boy, but you're still getting the entire PlayStation catalog minus Vita with the premium tier. So I mean, you get a lot with it, which sounds great. It sounds like they are trying to compete with Game Pass in the sense that Game Pass has, all their current gen games, all their last gen games, all their prior gen games before that, all their legacy gen games, um, all in one location. Sounds great in theory. Delivery is going to be another thing, which I mean, it launches in, as of the time of recording, about a week from now, I think. So it's gonna be interesting. I'm still gonna try it. I'll report back to you.
Yeah, and Tim's being nice about it, but I mean, I'm not nice. So Sony has not
That's why
had
we
a good
keep you
track
around.
of service launches. They've been okay with things like consoles, but like their services have just been piss poor.
Yeah.
And it's been a plethora of issues.
Well, I mean,
And
do you
the other
remember
thing,
PlayStation TV?
yes,
Like their
um,
actual cable service that admittedly I subscribed to it at first, but like it was all web based. My connection at the time, I could handle it because I could handle Netflix, but nothing's worse than being in the middle of a live broadcast just to see a buffering symbol for 5 minutes. I mean, if
yeah,
it's pre-recorded, like whatever. If it's a Netflix show, whatever. But if you're watching a live broadcast and it's brand new, you've never seen it before, it kind of kills it. But I mean,
yeah,
admittedly, that was just as much an issue with my connection as it was with the way it implemented. But that went to the wayside a while ago.
Yeah, the thing that I think about in this is, the infrastructure behind all of it. I made the joke to Tim offline that Sony just has a warehouse full of old PS3s that are just connected to the internet.
I mean,
Um,
probably that's their server farm right there.
but when we think about the infrastructure, though, and that's one of the things where I think Microsoft has a one up on them here, is because they have a cloud ecosystem of
Yes.
their own that they have built in house, and it is purpose built. They have they have the control, the purpose built to support this kind of stuff. So
Right.
they do have the capacity and the capability to be able to deliver this. I'm
Yeah.
curious what Sony's infrastructure is, because as far as I know, they haven't gotten into the cloud game. And it
Right.
would be very difficult for them to get into the cloud game, because
Well,
not only with
they
places
did.
like
Oh, go ahead.
not only competing with cloud providers like Google, Amazon, Microsoft, but there's also Alibaba has a cloud service if
Oh
you're in the
yeah.
Asia. So
Well,
it could become a little difficult.
I know a few years ago Sony was buying up a lot of cloud streaming or cloud services in Japan, which I mean, it's a cloud. It doesn't take much to go, all right, we have access in America, or we have access in Canada, or we have access in the UK, wherever you're from. But they purchased them, but they never really said anything about it. Like, what are they doing with it? How are they implementing it? What are they utilizing it for? So I'm curious to see if some of those acquisitions were stuff that were planned on the back end for this. Because I mean, this isn't like Sony just came up with this 2 months ago or 2 or 3 months ago when they announced it and like, surprise, we're going to work on it. This is something they had to have planned for a while, especially seeing how successful Game Pass has been for Microsoft. I mean, even Amazon. I mean, if we're going to talk streaming games, Amazon has was Amazon Luna,
Yeah.
which I mean, admittedly, I tried it. It works good. It works good. I just don't need yet another gaming streaming service. Now, I mean, I'm already a PlayStation Plus subscriber, and if I'm understanding it correctly, current subscribers will be rolled over to one of the new plans. Um, so, I mean, it's not like I mean, I'm going to be paying a little bit more for the service, but it's not an entirely new service that I have to subscribe into. And this is something that Ian and I talked about in prior episodes. Used to be like there were two or three streaming services, and it was so much cheaper to cut out like cable or whatever have you and just get those. Now, I mean, not even, I mean, gaming, you've got PlayStation's going to be in it, Amazon's in it, Google's in it, Microsoft's in it. There's, I'm sure, tons of others. But you've got Netflix, you've got Hulu, you've got Disney Plus, you have HBO Max, you have Paramount Plus, you have, I mean, there are so many instant gratification media streaming services now that if you were to get all of them, I mean, it's there's cost cutting slash cord cutting as they call it isn't
Mhm.
really a thing anymore because everybody's going to that. So all those services that you cut out, of your cable bill or your internet bill or whatever are now back as streaming services, instant delivery, and people are signing back up for them again. So
Yeah.
we've come full circle, which I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It's just a way that things are. It's a way that the future's going. Um, like case in point, I had recently watched some stuff on Disney Plus, and I was talking to my mom about it, and she goes, "Oh, bring it over. I want to watch it." Like, well, you don't have internet, mom. She goes, and well, it's a streaming show, which I mean, she knows what streaming shows is. She used to have internet. She had Netflix, but she's like, "Oh, well, that's stupid. Are they going to release it?" Like, I don't know. It's just on their streaming platform. I think they're just locking it to that. It was the Chippendale movie, not the
Oh
one about
yeah.
the dancers, the one about the chipmunks. Um, which that guy needs to watch it. It's really good. If you haven't seen it, it is legitimately good. But that's all I'll say. We'll talk about that in a future episode. But we've come full circle. Is more or less what my rant is going about, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. The thing I'm worried about is if we keep getting more and more and more services that are, well, hey, now this show is exclusive to our network because we produced it even though we had it published on there. Um, like I'm surprised.
Paramount
What's that?
Paramount Plus does that. I mean,
Exactly, yeah. Like,
it,
I mean, are we going to get to a point where individual film studios have their own exclusive? Like, is Sony Studios is going to have one? Is Lighthouse Productions are they going to have one? Is Happy Madison going to have a streaming service? I mean, I'd be okay with
Well,
that.
the thing is that with the way economics in these places work is that they're going to continue pushing the market, and they're going to continue pushing the envelope to see what the market will support.
Yep.
Eventually we will hit a point of critical mass where the market will not support any new streaming services. As a case, and we're actually right around that point. As a case
Yeah.
in point here, CNN offered an exclusive streaming service of their own called CNN Plus. Yeah, you probably didn't hear about it. That's because it had, I think, when it's only been around for, I want to say it was around for, I say, 6 months, and
Yeah.
they really only got like less than 10,000 subscribers on it, so they're shutting it down.
So
Like
okay,
it was,
so it was CNN's news broadcasts on an exclusive thing. The news
I don't
broadcasts you can get on their website for free.
I don't know what was being offered as part of this streaming service, so I don't know what extra bits and bobs that you get. But the
I
point
mean, they'd
was,
have to offer something because, like, literally, I mean, I guess at that point, if they made it a paid subscription, it's no different than how newspapers used to be. You had to buy the newspaper every day, every week, every Sunday, whatever have you, to get the news. But it just
my
who
point.
was the market for? Yeah, just go ahead. Sorry, I'm gonna bitch about it later.
No, you're fine. You're absolutely fine because you're thinking correctly. There was
For
probably
once,
some terrible thought that went into this, and they wanted to jump on the bandwagon. But the market responded and went, one, we're not paying you for what we're already getting for free,
yeah,
and two, we don't want another streaming service. Like, we're getting to that point of hitting critical mass.
yeah,
We're not at that point when it comes to game streaming services because there's really only a handful of them out there that
yeah.
people really care about. I mean, there's xCloud, there's Luna, there's Nvidia. I can't remember what it's called now.
GeForce Now
GeForce
or whatever they call it.
Now.
Like
GeForce
I
Now. We're
have
gonna
that.
hit.
Yeah, I have that, but it's literally like I have one of the old Nvidia handhelds, which I love the thing to death. I only have that just to stream the games that are on my desktop to it if I'm laying in bed. That is literally all I don't pay to do those games. I stream the stuff I already have when I'm too
Yeah.
lazy to get out of bed, which is most
Yeah.
weekends.
In fact, years ago, Microsoft actually offered that through Xbox. You could stream your
Hmm.
Xbox games to your PC.
Yep.
Um,
Which is kind of the
it was
start of of the cloud gaming thing for them.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, it was a little wonky. I'm not gonna lie, but
Yeah.
anyway, then there's obvious Stadia again is still around. It's still a thing.
Yep.
It's just that it's been revamped and it's now going for a more niche market.
Yeah.
So it's not something that is really a viable player in that wheelhouse anymore. And the other thing that we're also seeing in the industry is game companies themselves or publishers
Yep.
uh, offering competing subscription services. Ubisoft Now, EA Now, or sorry, Ubisoft Plus, EA Now. But the problem is they're not getting traffic,
Yep.
so they're partnering with these other people. So if you pay for Game Pass Ultimate, as an example, you get access to EA Now.
Yeah.
There's been rumor for a while that Microsoft is going to broker a deal with Ubisoft to get access to their stuff.
Well, see, there's
And
rumors that Sony's talking to them as well, so that's going to be interesting because Microsoft, as we talked about in a prior episode, Microsoft's made a lot of really impactful and smart purchases over the last couple, 2 3 years. Sony, like, love them to death. Their highest profile big purchase recently is Bungie, which, don't get me wrong, Bungie's a great company. I would love to see Sony get some more because eventually, if Microsoft gets too many, you're running borderline monopoly territory, and I don't want to see Microsoft buy all this stuff, consolidate it into one service, us love it, and get used to it, and then the Fed step in and go, no, you got to split it up and break it up into different divisions. So, well, this Microsoft service has this, this, and this. This Xbox service has this, and this. And then we're back
yeah,
to paying for two subscriptions. I don't want to see that. So
yeah,
I'd
and
like to see if there are any more big acquisitions, I'd love to see them get dispersed a little bit more level because right now, I mean, Microsoft's tipping the scale way down.
well, there's been rumor out there that Sony was looking at purchasing Square Enix.
I have heard that
Um,
as well. I mean, and they've got a history together. I mean,
they do,
mhm.
and it would be interesting timing because Square Enix also just recently divested themselves of all of their Western studios.
Yeah,
Western IPs. So, um,
that
admittedly, I think Square has not done a good job with managing those Western-based companies. They've had some real stinkers of
yeah.
games come
I
out of
mean, they've
them.
had some good ones, but I mean, it's been either very much hit or very much miss.
Right. Speaking of, by the way, the Guardians of the Galaxy game is out on Game Pass, I believe, and I think it may be even out on XCloud. So
There you go.
you can go and give that a try. But generally speaking, I think we're getting close to time now, so we're going to kind of start wrapping up some of our thoughts and
Yeah,
conversations about this. Um, the general sentiment, though, is that game streaming is here. It is
yeah,
a thing, obviously, and it's going to continue to grow. And as demand increases, as capability increases, Microsoft already proved the real viability of streaming through
yeah,
xCloud because it is basically seamless and works.
yeah.
There is little that you have to do with it. You don't have to do anything funky with it. You just play. Um,
Well, to quote Todd Howard, it just works.
yes. It only Fallout
Unlike his
76
games.
when it came out. Yes. Anyway, so it's going to continue to grow, and we're going to start seeing some competition in that space, which I think is healthy with
Yeah,
PlayStation and Xbox. However, my real point that I haven't really talked about is that what this means is we are going to see the console landscape change in its entirety.
yeah,
Consoles of in and of themselves will change based upon this. I mean, we already have diskless um, consoles right now.
yeah.
The Xbox One or the Series S, the PlayStation digital only version,
Yep.
um, that kind of stuff. We're going to start seeing those pared down even more
Yeah.
into basically just a hard drive with a network. I mean, it could probably just be a basic SSD or even flash memory
Well,
based OS.
I mean,
Uh,
heck, if it's purely streaming, really you only need enough memory on it to run the OS, and like
yeah,
a little bit for cache. You don't even need a whole lot of storage, just enough
right.
to like handle updates, and yeah, that's about it.
I mean, in
It's a
theory,
tiny
if
box.
Microsoft decided to wanted to do it, I mean, you could essentially do a purpose built like Raspberry Pi.
Yeah,
They plug into your TV if you don't have like a Samsung TV
yeah.
or something along those lines. So the console space is going to change a lot here, and it's
The
very
Xbox box.
yes, the Xbox box. Um,
The Xbox box Series SX.
yes,
I mean, like it's not too far fetched of an idea
8K
though.
edition.
That what's that?
8K edition.
I mean, it's Ian brings up a valid point. It is not out of the realm of possibility in the next year or two, with Game Pass taking off the way it is, that Microsoft may just release a streaming box that its only purpose it is just to connect to the cloud servers. It won't have your multimedia on there. It won't have any substantial storage. It may not even have controller ports. It may just be wireless controller. Maybe a USB port to charge it if you have a rechargeable controller, but just a tiny little box. It's not out of the realm of possibility that that could be a thing. Which I don't know if you've looked at like Raspberry Pis or any of those like small form factor all in ones. They're not expensive. They are not expensive at all. And really, all Microsoft has to do is just flash a custom UI onto it with a button that says connect. And then it will
Right.
bring
I
up
mean,
bring up a screen via the internet that just shows you what titles you want to play. You click on it and you go.
it's the same concept as a Roku, as
Yeah.
a Chromecast, as a
Netflix's
um,
user interface.
right, a Fire Stick.
Yeah.
Um, it's all the same thing, and all of those things can run multiple applications
Mm-hmm.
on their own.
Yep.
So it is not outside the realm of possibility. I mean, a Fire Stick runs what, $40 to $80.
Yeah, if
So
that. I mean,
yeah.
you can find those on
So
sale pretty often.
yeah, it's going to the ultimate point that I'm making here is that we are going to see the fundamental landscape of consoles and the console wars change.
Yeah.
Console wars, I personally think, are going to be a thing of the past.
Mhm.
We are now going to start seeing
Content
purpose-built.
wars.
We will see content. We will see a purpose-built device to help people that maybe don't have that smart TV. Um, as ancient as those televisions would be,
Yeah.
but or even TVs that don't have like an app store that you can go and download stuff from. Maybe it's like I think Vizio has they have apps, but I don't know that they have a store that you can like go and. It's been a while, so I can't quite
It's
remember.
at least like the TV, the Vizio. I have a Vizio upstairs. It's 2 years, either a year or two old. I don't remember. It's not. It's relatively new. All the apps that you have are already on it. Now they can on the back end. Let's say like when that TV came out, Paramount Plus, or is it Paramount? Yeah, Paramount Plus was not a thing. However, they have since updated on the back end that it will now on my TV display a Paramount Plus logo. So if I choose to sign up for it, I literally just click on that. It loads the Paramount app. I didn't have to do anything for it. Now, I mean,
Right.
with that though, like some of like the odds and ends or maybe obscure streaming services or ones that maybe don't have a licensing deal worked out with Vizio, I have no way to get that. But again, like
Yeah.
Ian says, if let's say for whatever reason Microsoft launches this, they're like, all right, we're putting it out on Samsung first, but then it's going to come to Sony TVs, it's going to come to LG, it's going to come to what's Best Buy's brand, Insignia, but we're not taking it to Vizio. There's, effectively you're locked out of that ecosystem. But that's where a purpose-built box can come in. Oh, you have a TV that's not supported? Well, hey, check out the Xbox box.
Right.
You know, it's again
Yeah.
not out of the realm of possibility. But anyway,
Yeah. So, Microsoft, if any of you are listening, product managers, man, like, we got you.
we will
Like,
shill, and I am a great hype man.
yeah, you want another Balmer? I got you another Balmer. He'll do it.
I have no shame.
He doesn't.
I don't.
Uh,
I was young. I needed the money.
all right, folks. Well, I think that'll do it for us for now. I hope you enjoyed the episode as much as we've enjoyed
Oh yeah,
recording it. This has been one of the more fun and interesting conversations that we've had of
yeah.
recent. So it's been been fantastic,
Oh,
actually.
absolutely.
So with that, I think we'll go ahead and wrap up for tonight. We thank you for joining us as always. Please tune in next week for the next episode. And as always, you can go back and listen to previous episodes as well, and you can find us hosted out on Anchor.fm. You can
Our
also find us
sponsor.
on our sponsor.
Hmm?
You can also find us on our social media, and the video recordings will be hosted on YouTube, youtube.com/non-sequitur-nerds, facebook.com/non-sequitur-nerds, Twitter @non-sequitur-nerd, and occasionally, as in @never, on twitch.tv/nerds. So, yeah. But anyway, as always, thank you for joining us. We hope to see you next time. And for the non sequitur nerds, I'm Ian.
And I'm Tim. Night, everybody.